Hey, what's going on, guys? Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking us on out. Let's get into it. So this Dalvin Cook stuff just doesn't seem to be going away. And I find it fascinating for a couple of reasons. One, the Dolphins did make their moves at running back with bringing back Jeff Wilson, bringing back Raheem Mostert. You had the off-season workouts. I'm sure everybody you got to admit, when you saw everybody start walking into the building, who didn't get the goosies? I mean, raise your hand if you didn't get the goosies. You can see my hand. It is down right now because, it was goosies galore, dude. Just to start, anything that permeates football, give me a couple of videos of, like, I don't know, Robert Hunt doing Pilates in the team facility, and I'm going to be football to the core, dude. I can't wait. So the fact that anything is just is getting it back to football-like stuff is exciting. It's very, very exciting. But it is going to be interesting to see. You got the draft coming up next week, and who knows what direction Miami is going to go in, because you're not in the first round. You have so many chips that have to fall before you get to your pick at 51. You're seeing all types of stuff that's out there, from linemen to tight ends to running back. But, this is a team that's very much starting to be established player. They have their draft picks, right? They have their young core that has been established. They have, Waddle and Jalen Phillips and Javon Holland and obviously Tua. But this is one of those where it's like, all right, what direction are they going to go if they do anything at running back? Do they just stick with it? Because, I don't know, I feel like the Dolphins have been pretty transparent this offseason. I don't feel like there has been a lot of smoke and mirrors. So I don't really know why the Dalvin Cook stuff won't go away. It's very interesting. Like Mike McDaniel, less than a month ago, was talking about why he was happy with the running backs.
We had the opportunity to bring two of our strongest character contributors and really, players we depend on in Raheem and Jeff. They're both, I think, above 4.7 yards per carry. And when I look at the tape, I think there'd be a little different feeling if, I don't think we didn't run the ball, not because they didn't run the ball well. We didn't run the ball well in games that we were overly injured, or some games that just didn't call enough runs. So when you look at it, historically, if you can get a runner 4.5 plus, they're doing something pretty good. I think we were able to get those two guys together, which was very important. And I see them as a big part of our team, and just the fabric and who we are as human beings. They really contribute to that locker room. Very excited to get those guys, and I honestly believe they're playing their best ball of their careers.
So that was Mike McDaniel. That was at the owners' meetings in late March. Barry Jackson just had a column that came out, and it was discussing the Dalvin Cook thing. And it said, Barry reported a couple of interesting things. He said, the Dolphins continue to be linked to Minnesota running back Dalvin Cook, whose future with the Vikings remains very much in question. The Vikings and Dolphins have already discussed a trade for Cook this offseason, but the trade didn't happen in part because they could not agree on draft compensation that would go to Minnesota, according to a source. Meanwhile, Vikings management remains non-committal on whether they will bring the 4-time Pro Bowl running back even on the team this season. Jeremy Fowler reported, "I'm told all options are on the table. He could be released close to the draft if things don't work out." According to a source, the Dolphins are expected to inquire about Cook if he's released. And though Cook would be fine staying in Minnesota, the Dolphins remain among the teams he's interested if released. What's unclear is how much Miami would be willing to pay him. The Dolphins could still pursue Cook or draft a running back in the second or third round because they protected themselves contractually with all their veteran tailbacks. And then it goes on to break down, basically all the deals. They're not really, they haven't spent a lot of money on running back. They've gone cheap, and also no hits really. They could trade guys and want to kill them. So they're in a good spot if they wanted to either draft a guy or they wanted to go and make a home run swing for Dalvin Cook, which will be interesting because it's a little bit like the Lamar Jackson thing light, right? Like you have a hometown kid, bringing him back. Dude kills in that stadium. I mean, he really, really does. And it would be awesome. I would love Dalvin Cook on the Dolphins. Who wouldn't? You know, you look at Mostert, and I think we all look at Mostert. We look at Jeff Wilson. You trust the head coach, and you're like, you know what? I think everybody would be okay if that's the direction they go. I certainly wouldn't say running back is the Dolphins' biggest concern going into this year. I don't think they have a ton of concerns. I think the Dolphins are a very well-built team. I think they got a lot of, extreme strengths. I wouldn't say the Dolphins have a lot of extreme weaknesses. I think they have, I'm not saying the offensive line. Would it be like saying I'm overconfident in the offensive line? Am I confident in the offensive line? No, I think there's definitely questions, but I think we know what they're going to do. Like the Dolphins have high young draft picks that they've invested in those positions, and they want to see them through. They want to see if Eichenberg turns into something. You want to see if Austin Jackson turns into something. It's very possible that could bite them in the ass, and I do think that covering themselves there would be wise. Maybe they do it with a better prospect in the draft. I don't know. Same thing with tight end. It's not really something that I think is a concern because they didn't really use that position dynamically last year anyway. So I think they'll be okay knowing that, you have these two stud receivers. You just added some more speed in Chosen Anderson, which what an arrival, has the Tua jersey reveal, which was just well done by Chosen. Good choice by Chosen, I may say. And not only that, speaking of Tua getting to meet Shania Twain. That was Goosey's galore, dude. I was happy for him. Gives her still the one jersey. It's always good that you get to go, you get these cross blends of sports and music. Who doesn't love that? Absolutely fantastic that Tua got to go do that. So anyway, getting back into the running back thing. I think the running back thing, because it's like, if there's going to be one more star addition, which Dalvin Cook is. I mean, Dalvin Cook has put himself. He's been a Pro Bowl the last 4 seasons. He's a versatile running back. He can be in the pass catching game, and also, I mean, still putting up big numbers when he apparently was playing with a busted shoulder, and now is healthy according to his agent, and his agent is throwing out there, that one team is been inclined to go after the Dolphins, and I know Outkick this weekend was like, oh, the Dolphins have been. The Dolphins as an all-in team, will they go back to the well on Dalvin Cook? I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, look, if there's been talks, if Barry's one of the most credible guys out there, if he's reporting that the Dolphins have already inquired about it, if the price goes down, yeah, of course I would believe that if Dalvin Cook becomes available, that they're going to probably go back to that well. Now, the question remains, is all of this smoke that's out there, is that the agent trying to drum up more of a market? Is that, the Vikings, is that, them and the Vikings in a standoff right now? And he's trying to say, the Dolphins are still out here, and the Dolphins are sitting here and they're like, yeah, we're kind of happy with our guys. That's kind of the game, right? This is a time of year where there's a lot of draft stuff that's going out there. There's a lot of rumor, a lot of fodder. Maybe the Dolphins just go in the draft and go in that route. It's hard to say. It's hard to say, as I like to say. It's hard to say in those spots. But look, man, if Dalvin Cook is traded to the Dolphins, man, that would be unbelievably cool. They do have some more cap space coming their way when the Byron Jones thing becomes official. So certainly, if you want to talk about you're adding a guy, a perennial Pro Bowler, already on top of having Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and then already on top of having the star-studded defense acquisition of having Jalen Ramsey with Xavier Howard and all the other young guys that you have, it's certainly could shape up that the Dolphins aren't done home run swing. It's impossible to ignore all the smoke that's there, right? It's not one of these things where we're sitting here and maybe I was reaching, when the Dolphins betting favorite, we're betting favorite to get Saquon Barkley, but betting favorite to get Dalvin Cook seems like it's a very reasonable, though it may be a little bit pricier. It doesn't seem like this thing that's crazy out of reach, because you're not going to have to give up a boatload of draft picks. Might not have to give up any draft picks. It sounds like looks like them and the Vikings are headed towards a parting of ways, and while I don't think it's everything, like, because there's a ton of talent, I mean, overwhelming amount of talent in the NFL that's from South Florida. If you're telling somebody that, hey, you get to go make a good living, be on an awesome team, and oh yeah, it's in your hometown. Obviously, Dalvin Cook coming back to the Dolphins is an attractive marriage that could possibly be there.